I did something different today. In addition to my normally scheduled squats and deadlifts, started including some hypertrophy work for my chest. I know I've been musing over that about what to do instead of bench for a while, just to give myself time to recover. Just because doing bench nonstop isn't necessarily the greatest thing for you. Bench isn't a super healthy exercise. It's hard on your shoulders and it can be hard on your joints. And my right shoulder is definitely starting to feel it a little bit. So I'm taking some time off, and I think I'm just going to focus on developing overall strength and muscle in my chest. Just because out of all of my muscle groups that are involved in that, I feel like that's one that's severely lacking. So I'm going to play around with that and kind of see what comes of it. And definitely going to do some tricep work too. So I'll be doing some chest, some triceps, and just kind of playing around with it over the course of the next month or two and just see if I can increase some muscle mass in that area. Outside of that, today I did 260 on squats, which is a pretty casual weight for me. So that was fairly nice to go through and, go ahead and just do. And then I did 320 on trap bar deadlifts. So that both moves super well. It's a lighter weight for a deload, and even that 320 is a weight that I struggled with 6 weeks ago, however long, and didn't have any issue today. So just chugged along and did what I needed to do, and it felt great in my hands. Didn't have any sort of hold up with it. Same with the squats; they just glided through. And again, this is a weight that wasn't super bad a couple weeks ago when I was hitting it for the 5x5 up and running up to 290. And then when I first did it, going up to 270, like 10 weeks ago or so, maybe 8 or 9 or something, had a little bit of a struggle to it, but this was not much at all. So I'm definitely doing something right. I know I say that a lot, but it's good to be doing the right thing, to be approaching this correctly, to where I'm not risking injury for myself, and I'm not putting myself in a position that's going to increase the chance of me, having to take time off. It's good. I'm really liking how these are feeling too. I'm definitely feeling worked. It's not like I'm getting nothing out of it. I'm definitely getting work out of this, and definitely since moving my stance closer together, I have felt more comfortable in my squats, which is kind of frustrating to think that that's all that it realistically was, kind of holding me back and making me feel pain in my lower back. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say pain, but just kind of discomfort. Just because I was standing wrong, and it really kind of goes to show that you really need to take consideration into your technique and pay attention to what you're doing. It's one thing to take recordings and then never reference it, but you really have to, review what you're looking at and what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to stand for not really gaining anything from it. Going into the deadlifts here, again, it was just relatively easy. 5 sets of 5 reps. Just move very nice. Made sure I was taking my time to break the weight each rep, let it fully hit the ground before starting my next one, just so that way I can get the most amount of work out of it instead of doing touch and go reps, which isn't necessarily the most beneficial to you. And just just kind of feel it out. I with this cycle, if I can go through and do the whole thing, which is probable, there's a good chance I can do it. I'll end up at 350 by the end of this month for 5 sets of 5 on trap bar deadlifts. If I can do that, I will be in a very, very good place to continue developing and gaining strength. So I'm just kind of looking forward to see where this goes. It's been going very well for me, and I think I'm definitely getting closer and closer to my goal of hitting the 500-pound deadlift. And that's going to be, it's a process getting there, but getting to it, it's one good workout after the next. It's slowly developing strength. I think the only thing that might be holding me back is that I don't practice heavy singles as much as I probably should. And I think I can definitely find a way to start incorporating that into my workouts. And that might be switching over to doing 5x3 and adding in heavy singles before I do my reps, or maybe after my reps, and just trying to find a way to work that out. And, kind of like a typical peaking phase with like an actual powerlifting program, to where you do heavier and heavier and heavier, lighter weights with higher reps, and then you get heavier and lower the rep scheme and kind of play with that until you're doing doubles or triples at 85, 90%, and just kind of pushing that almost daily, or 1 or 2 times a week, to be able to hit the peak at the right time to hit that maximum lift. And I might play around with that. I really haven't ever done anything like that, just because I've been so focused on trying to just develop my overall endurance and strength. So I don't know. I'm going to give it thought, and I'll probably definitely play with it and see kind of what comes of it. Outside of that, the chest workouts that I did dumbbell flies to a close press. These were only at 10 kilos. I could probably do 25 pounds, 10 kilos, or 22 and a half pounds, 10 kilos. I could probably do 25 pounds, but this was pretty good for now. This is the first time I've done this in quite some time, so it's going to be a little rusty for me. And I don't want to risk going too heavy right away, because I know my chest is going to be sore already from doing this. And I don't want to make it worse, and it's going to have to be, right from the get-go. So we'll see where it goes. These weren't, too bad. I think one thing that I did notice, I was double checking the sets before and after each one, just to kind of make sure that I was actually doing the right amount of reps, because I wasn't sure about the counting. But my right arm tends to lag behind my left a little bit, and that isn't too shocking, given that I am, left-handed. While I like to think that my arms are pretty equal, I know that my left arm is a decent amount stronger than my right, and that's pretty self-evident in this. While they do end up getting the same amount of stretch and positioning in them, my right arm takes longer to get into that position and looks weaker going into it until it finally bottoms out compared to my left. So that is something that definitely will take some time to accommodate and get better, but it will. Maybe I'll try 25 pounds after a couple weeks, and I think what I'll end up doing is I'll just kind of do the same exercise for 3 weeks or so, and then kind of change up exercises while still hitting the chest, fairly strongly, and just kind of go through and get what benefit I can from this. I think that this is going to help out a lot, is just adding more work to the chest and developing the muscle in there, because you don't necessarily have to bench nonstop to get benefit from bench, but you have to at least work your chest in a way that's somewhat conducive to it. And doing press work and doing flies definitely does help, because that works on your pecs and on your delts, and really kind of helps promote growth in those muscles in your body. And I could probably do more, but right now I'm just kind of getting back into it. And, I try to keep my workouts around about an hour long or so. And that's not out of necessity. It's just kind of out of personal preference. I don't mind having them go longer, but I'm going to wait until I have more time in my day to do that. Kind of weird to say. Well, right now, kind of the big thing limiting my schedule is that the Blues are, St. Louis Blues are still playing games, and I like to watch, the games whenever they're on. So I try to get done before 7 o'clock. Ideally 6:30, so I have time to shower and, eat dinner before the games are on. And, once the season's over, I'll probably get heavier into doing some longer workouts, because I have the time to afford doing that. And just go from there. Again, these are feeling pretty all right. Would love to definitely do more weight on them, but I don't want to overtax myself right away. The other workout that I did was some underhanded chest flies, and with these, I have some cables that I had set up in my basement with some pulleys, and with my brother and I made some loading pins for myself to use. Welded some 1.5-inch black iron pipe to a pipe flange, and then added some padding to it so that way it wouldn't damage the weights or the floor whenever the weights are being put onto it, and they're being used in repetitions with either like grip training, because I have a few different attachments for that, or with the cable system. So doing those, it's kind of difficult to do it correctly with what I have because I have kind of a non-ideal setup for them, but I can still make it work. One of the things that I do is I just walk it out a little bit further than you would normally, just to get a little bit more tension. And ideally, you want to have the weights be, or the cables coming out right about navel height or so. And from there, you swing the weight up and just kind of squeeze your pecs together, and you'll feel that push together, which is where you'll be getting a lot of the benefit from working the lower pec. And, it's not the greatest setup, but I definitely did get, the exercise in. These I kind of played with the weight a little bit. Started at 15 pounds, then went to 20, and then finally ended at 25. Definitely not the heaviest on that. I was taking a look at my training log and seeing kind of when I had hit these at maximum. And when I did these last about 1.5 years ago, I ended up topping out at around about 25 or 30 pounds. So this, I'd definitely be able to go heavier than that because I'm definitely a lot stronger than that now. And definitely looking forward to seeing where these go, because this felt really nice. This is always a nice exercise to do. Looking just wanting to get more benefit out of this. Not sure if I want to do more hypertrophy work with my shoulders right at this moment, but definitely something that's going to be in the cards just because there is benefit to be had from it. And I just want to kind of push that muscle, muscle group, and develop them further. One that needs a lot more work, especially same with like my chest and my, in addition to the shoulders. It's just they lag behind my legs. And that's partly because I just I work my legs 3 times a week with 2 different exercises, both with not with bench, but with squats and with my deadlift variations. So my legs are very well developed, and my upper body is kind of lagging behind. And it's not to say that it looks bad, it just doesn't look as strong as my legs do. And that will just kind of get better with time as things go on. And, maybe once I get to a point to where I definitely need to take a break with doing leg workouts rather. I'll just kind of go into a maintenance where I'm doing heavy singles with squats or with deadlifts, and then really just kind of push the chest workouts, really adding in more variations. I think one thing that I really, really want to do to be able to add back in is dips, especially weighted dips with both tricep and chest dips, and then adding in pull-ups, just because having that extra strength in the triceps is very beneficial to bench, and having a stronger upper back from doing pull-ups is going to be just as beneficial to deadlifts, because you're able to just break that weight off the ground. And that's one of the things that having the deficit deadlifts is going to help, just kind of develop upper back strength. So just gotta keep going at it. And it's fun stuff.